Following a protest on Saturday, one woman was sent to the hospital and one man has been arrested. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with those details.
President Biden addresses a major issue that would impact the U.S. economy. I'm Matha Rivera in Washington with what the president is saying about the debt ceiling and more on negotiations in Congress about a massive spending package coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. A rally for women's reproductive rights ended with one woman in the hospital and a man in jail. KON's Bronte Sorotsky gives us an updated report on events after a protest on Saturday.
It feels weird saying someone assaulted me still, because it feels surreal.
Unique Moore was a participant in the March for Reproductive Freedom on Saturday, a protest opposing a new Texas abortion law. During the rally, counter-protesters showed up to oppose the event. Some from the original event decided to go over, including Moore.
So a couple of the people decided that they wanted to take up space in kind of in the area that they were in. They were met with anger, vulgarity. They were met with shoves and getting up in our faces.
But when protesters from the women's rights rally clashed with counter-protesters, that's when Moore says things got ugly.
And that's when I noticed things were getting really heated, really badly.
Moore says she attempted to de-escalate a situation between protesters and those countering, and got caught up in a situation.
Because it felt like he lunged towards them. He wasn't even after me at first. And all I can remember is I grabbed his collar and he hit me.
He started just throwing hands and punching her right in the face very violently. And then ended up throwing her on the ground, hitting her again.
JPD says they responded to a disturbance call at 7th and Range Line, the location of the protest.
Officers responded to that disturbance and found there was a large gathering. During their investigation on scene, they determined an assault had taken place, which resulted in one arrest.
According to Joplin City arrest records, a Neosho man was arrested at 7th and Range Line for assault.
I know that an arrest was made for misdemeanor assault, and that individual was transported to the Joplin City Jail.
The police department is still investigating the incident, although Moore says she wasn't too fazed by it. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KUAM News.
We reached out to the Joplin City prosecutor to find out if any charges have been made against the man who was arrested, and were unable to get a response in time for tonight's newscast. Nick Kelly joining us now. First look at the forecast. Really a good day today, Nick.
Yeah, thankfully we kept the weekend, at least the end of it, Jordan, on a quiet note. And same goes for the start of this new work week and school week today. 51, a chilly start this morning before we topped out right around 79 degrees for this afternoon. Mostly clear skies are still locked in place. And I say that temporarily because in the upper levels, I've got this upper level low spinning around Memphis. That's what's going to try and shake things up a little bit as we head into tomorrow. In the meantime, though, we're already seeing some upper 50s and lower 60s on the board. And I still think we're set to have another chilly night ahead of us as overnight lows drop back near 53. We're going to start the day off on a quiet note, but you can see how a few showers want to work in late in the afternoon. Jordan, we'll see how long these will stick with the forecast coming up in a bit.
All right, Nick, thanks as always. Joplin City Council tonight approved an ordinance for architectural design services for a new fire station. That new station is going to be on a 2-acre piece of land in the approximate area of 30th Street and Jaguar Road. Paragon Architecture, LLC out of Springfield is going to handle the services, which will cost more than $290,000.
Provides a lot of flexibility and needed coverage in an area that's growing with a lot of valuable property, being near the industrial park. It's positioned well for future growth and expansion, and so it'll be a great addition and really improve the safety services for our community.
Councilmember Phil Stinnett voted against the ordinance. One reason why is that he believed a local company could have done it. The council also approved a $2 million ordinance to replace the Joplin Creek Interceptor. Pitt State handed out its vaccination incentives to eligible students. The university gave students until September 17th to submit proof of vaccination to get a $500 scholarship and to be entered into a drawing to win a $8,500 scholarship. Nearly 4,500 students were eligible. 55% of those submitted valid vaccination records and got the incentives. University employees who got vaccinated each got a $1,000 incentive. These incentives were funded by the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. We could soon have a new booster shot to help contain the COVID outbreak if Johnson & Johnson's data checks out and the FDA signs off. Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan has more now from Atlanta.
A second dose of Johnson & Johnson's COVID vaccine could be coming soon to a pharmacy near you. The company asking the FDA to approve a booster shot given at least 2 months after the first, saying it could increase effectiveness to 94%. The FDA will consider the request at a meeting October 14th, with authorization expected shortly after. Health officials are now making a big push to get booster shots in arms, with more than 2 million Pfizer boosters administered in just the first week.
That's a very strong start. And states and pharmacies are reaching out to millions of eligible individuals.
The announcement comes as more vaccine mandates are going into place across the country. On Monday, New York City, the nation's biggest school system, started enforcing vaccination requirements for all teachers and staff, with some anti-vaccine groups predicting major staffing shortages.
If they're turned away, they're going to go away peacefully. The chaos is going to be inside those schools when they don't have the proper staffing.
Meanwhile, as the holidays get closer, the CDC is issuing new guidelines recommending people keep the windows open to improve circulation or hold celebrations outside.
When you have something spread by aerosol, you absolutely want more ventilation, which is the reason why outdoors is always much safer.
The CDC is also asking families to consider virtual celebrations this year. In Atlanta, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
President Biden with a warning today about the upcoming debt ceiling deadline. Republicans argue Democrats have control of both chambers and should solve the issue through the reconciliation process. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has reaction now from D.C.
With just 2 weeks to go before the U.S. is set to run out of cash, President Biden is calling on lawmakers to take immediate action, warning of disastrous consequences if the debt ceiling isn't suspended or raised.
Meteor is headed to crash into our economy.
The president's remarks Monday were directed mainly towards Senate Republicans. They aren't budging on their position of not helping Democrats address the debt limit, despite Democratic criticism that they helped rack up the nation's debt.
The reason we have to raise the debt limit is in part because of the reckless tax and spending policies under the previous Trump administration.
In a letter, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell accuses Democrats of pursuing, quote, staggering spending through reconciliation, and tells the president they must handle the debt limit alone as well.
We have never in the history of our country raised the debt ceiling to open the door for massive social spending.
The Senate parliamentarian has ruled that Democrats can do a standalone bill aimed at increasing the debt ceiling under reconciliation, which requires a simple majority. It's the same tool that Democrats are planning to use to pass a multi-trillion-dollar social spending and climate bill. The package is still under negotiation as moderates and progressives try to reach a compromise on what should be included and how much the plan should cost.
It's going to cost money for the rest of our lives.
President Biden is heading to Michigan Tuesday to promote his domestic agenda. He also warns there's no guarantee the country won't default as lawmakers face a stalemate over the debt limit. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Gene Hartzog served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 1946. We are proud to thank and salute Staff Sergeant Gene Hartzog, native of El Dorado Springs, Missouri. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast, and later in sports, going to hear from the Frontenac Raiders on hitting a big milestone last week.
It was nice that we kept things quiet as we got this new work week and school week underway, and after we had a pretty good day with pretty much open blue skies, especially during the afternoon. We're still looking nice and quiet with this live shot from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. Believe it or not, though, temperatures have taken an interesting turn based on how the day has progressed. After we saw highs in the upper 70s to near 80 yesterday, we dropped back into the lower to middle 50s. In fact, dew points were close to these temperatures that we actually had some pockets of patchy mist and fog to get the day started. But once that burned away, Went right back into the upper 70s and even a few spots close to 80 degrees for this Monday afternoon. With that said, though, I do want to keep things a bit on the warm side, even with some rain chances trying to work in for tomorrow and Wednesday. But once they clear out of the picture, we will certainly, like it or not, heat back up, certainly as we get the weekend underway. And then we're going to wrap up the weekend and head into early next week with more rain chances. And that's going to be our better shot in the extended forecast for better widespread rain chances to come on in. But nothing of the sort outside. Still looking at clear skies up top and the traffic below running along just fine as well. 61 and dropping with the calm breeze and a dew point at 54 degrees. That means the humidity is at 78%. I'm not too concerned about mist or fog this time around, unlike what we had to deal with this morning. Otherwise, temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s. These are pretty consistent across much of the region, with mostly clear skies still in place and a very light northeast breeze to take us through the rest of the night. While we do have just maybe the remnants of a weak area high pressure that's trying to keep us quiet as we go into tomorrow, that's going to continue to erode away, and then we'll have this upper low developing near Memphis take charge for the next few days. And we'll see with the future track here what that's going to do for us. Thankfully, nothing tonight. Maybe a few random clouds by sunrise. Otherwise, we'll start chilly again, but maybe a little bit warmer with lows around 53. As we go throughout the day tomorrow, we'll certainly see more partly sunny skies working in during the afternoon. But you can see on the future track as that upper low near Memphis kicks into gear and starts drifting closer to us, maybe an isolated shower or two trying to percolate in a few spots. But you can see how it's very isolated and how most of us will be dry as we progress through the rest of the afternoon. 53 in the morning, 72 by noon. I still think we can get highs to about 75 degrees despite the increase in the clouds, but we'll be dry for Tuesday evening, starting Wednesday morning out, and then that upper level wave wants some more scattered thunderstorm chances with highs back in the mid 70s once again. But even if these rain chances pan out, not expecting a whole lot, maybe 1/10 of an inch to maybe about 1/2 of an inch at the most. So we're not too concerned about this being a complete washout for the middle of the week. Once it clears out by Thursday, though, we will start to dry out. But look at this upper level ridge. We don't want to see this coming back in October, but that's what Mother Nature has in store for us, and that's certainly going to mean a little taste of summer trying to return yet again as we head toward the weekend. 75 tomorrow, 74 Wednesday, 78 on Thursday. But once that ridge kicks in, Jordan highs pushing back near 90 before those better rain chances come in Sunday and Monday.
All right, Nick Kelly, we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you so much as always. Coming up, the nation's highest court back in action with a full to-do list.
The Supreme Court justices are back in court. Their rulings this term could reshape the nation's laws on abortion, guns, and religion. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have details coming up.
The Supreme Court started a new term today with several hot-button issues front and center, including abortion and gun rights. The new term comes as the court faces scrutiny over its decision not to hear arguments on a Texas law which bans abortion after 6 weeks. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively is in Washington with more.
Protesters marched outside the Supreme Court on Monday, while inside, for the first time in more than a year and a half, the justices were back on the bench.
God save the United States and this honorable court.
The first oral arguments involved water rights and criminal law, but the blockbuster cases the 6-3 conservative court will decide this term center around guns, religion, and abortion. On guns, they'll weigh in on New York's strict regulations for licensing concealed carry handguns. On religion, they're set to take up cases involving an execution and also school choice. Perhaps most closely watched, a ruling on a Mississippi law banning abortion after 15 weeks. About a dozen more states have passed restrictions, and last month, the court refused to take up a Texas law prohibiting most abortions.
Everyone has been focusing on the Texas abortion law, but sitting on the docket is something that could really roll back on Roe v. Wade.
This as public opinion of the Supreme Court is at its lowest level in 2 decades. A recent Gallup poll showing confidence and trust in the judicial branch dropped from 67% to 54%.
We also have the Biden commission looking at the question of whether there ought to be Supreme Court reform. So, yeah, there is a bit of a heightened level of concern on the part of the justices that the public is losing faith in the court.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh participated remotely after testing positive for a breakthrough case of COVID. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Next, a messy domino effect.
Cleanup efforts are underway in Southern California after a massive oil spill causes an environmental catastrophe. I'm William Lajeunesse in Huntington Beach. Details coming up.
Frances Haugen revealed herself as the Facebook whistleblower on 60 Minutes. Haugen is a former employee who filed complaints against the social media giant with federal law enforcement. She says Facebook's own research shows that it amplifies hate, misinformation, and political unrest, but the company hides what it knows. Haugen plans to testify before Congress this week. Facebook, for its part, has pushed back against these allegations. Well, massive globs of thick oil are washing up on shore across miles of California beaches. It's engulfing animals and vulnerable habitats. Fox News national correspondent William Lajeunesse is in Huntington Beach with the latest on the cleanup efforts after this weekend's tragic oil spill.
Thousands of gallons of slick oil casting a sheen over the Pacific Ocean, a devastating result of this weekend's spill off the coast of Southern California, where officials believe at least 3,000 barrels worth of crude leaked from an underwater pipe.
Given that the spill exceeds 100,000 gallons, the Coast Guard has classified this situation in Huntington Beach and the surrounding areas as a major spill.
Cleanup efforts underway as crews focus on clearing oil from the water while also trying to prevent it from spreading.
We use something called boom that protects sensitive sites that are pre-identified with this boom that will cause the oil to move in one direction where it can be collected.
Amplify Energy, the company in charge of the pipeline, says no more oil appears to be leaking after the pipe was suctioned. But wildlife experts say the more than 120,000 gallons that spilled are proving fatal to many fish and birds.
When birds get oiled, they can't swim, they can't float.
Meanwhile, as sludge continues washing ashore, local officials are warning folks to stay clear of the beaches, explaining how foot traffic can make the situation worse.
The oil is clumping at the shoreline, and you may not realize it, but you step in it and then you bring it across the sand and carry the oil into other areas.
Critics wonder if more oil could have been contained, since many residents report smelling the oil slick on Friday night. In Huntington Beach, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
Snickers coming out with something new, a blend of two different treats. Gonna learn more. Yeah, coming up.
Nominate your four-state.
All right, so people who love the chocolate, caramel, and peanut butter taste of Snickers may soon find a new flavor to enjoy. The popular candy bar will come in a cinnamon bun flavor. No joke here. Look at that. It contains a nougat filling, peanuts, caramel, and milk chocolate. The bars will be sold exclusively at Walmart this month. Okay, two things. First of all, nothing against Walmart, but open it up, And secondly, I love Snickers. I love cinnamon buns. But them two together is kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah, Nick Kelly doesn't know either. I give it a try, that's for sure. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Pfizer announces that a new COVID-19 vaccine will be needed by mid-2022 to combat variants within the coronavirus. I'm Chris Warner. We'll hear from a local pharmacist about the announcement and how that compares to changing flu vaccines.
Plus, an organization of campers helps construct a building for an area church.
Looking for a new home?
14.
Well, Pfizer made an announcement that a new COVID-19 vaccine would be needed by mid-2022. As KU1's Chris Warner explains, this process isn't anything new.
We're nearly a year into the COVID-19 vaccine, and there's already been changes. Booster shots for certain groups have been approved as officials look at booster shots for the general population. But those changes aren't unlike what we experience every year with a vaccine we're all familiar with.
With the flu vaccine, it changes each year. Viruses mutate, they change, they adapt, and therefore we want to study it every year, and they do a good job of really predicting what the flu vaccine needs to contain.
Chad Isaacs with Stone's Corner Pharmacy says there's a reason the flu vaccine changes each year.
That kind of immunity wanes over time, as well as differences in the virus. So it's important to get a new vaccine every year. Even if you got one last year, it's important to get a new one each year so you have good protection.
Isaac says it's the same way with the COVID vaccine, and the Delta variant is a prime example.
But that vaccine's going to change too. Just like the flu vaccine, we're going to have changes because of that virus changing and mutating. You know, the Delta variant and other things have cropped up, and the current vaccine has still been pretty effective against that. But come next year and years to come, that may change, and so they'll continue to develop this vaccine, and that's a good thing.
Isaacs adds that changes to vaccines overall aren't uncommon.
So that's a natural process, that's not unexpected, and it's important to take advantage of the COVID vaccine we have now, but also realize that there will be new formulas in the future, and those will be a good thing to supplement what has already been started this year.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Isaac says even with that COVID-19 vaccine, still a good idea to get your flu shot to ensure you're protected. 4 staters who asked for an extension on their tax returns are running out of time on that extension. The deadline is in just a couple of weeks, October 15th. Around 131,000 Kansans asked for an extension. To avoid delays, the IRS urges everyone to file electronically. Now, there are some taxpayers who might have more time. An IRS spokesperson says military members and others serving in a combat zone normally have 180 days after they leave that zone to file and pay any due taxes. The spokesperson also said that taxpayers in federally declared disaster areas who already have valid extensions may have their deadline extended. Missouri Southern's Japan semester continued today in the Spiva Gallery with an exhibit of the works of an artist called Nishi. His medium is pottery, through which he says he strives to create work that resonates within himself and brings out inner peace, and hopes that the natural simplicity of his pottery can bring the same peace to others.
We have an exhibition of pottery from a Japanese potter. Born and raised in Japan, he moved to the United States, I think 2008, and lives outside of the Chicagoland area. And we were very excited to be able to bring him in as part of our fall 2021 Japan themed semester here at Missouri Southern.
Today's Japan semester offerings also included a presentation called Black Ships to Little Boy, a history of American-Japanese relations. Volunteers helped construct a building for a church in Nevada, Missouri. Campers on Mission is a national fellowship with state chapters where campers travel, look for opportunities to help out those in need. Today they stopped by the Milo Baptist Church in Nevada to help set up a multi-purpose building.
We're just helping them with getting this big building done for this small community. It's actually some sort of like a community building that they're doing here, and we're currently hanging sheetrock inside. And we're going to get as much of that done this week and next week as we can.
Campers on Mission expects to be in the Nevada area for about a week. KOAM General Manager Danny Thomas is a Hall of Famer. The Kansas Association of Broadcasters inducted Danny into its Hall of Fame during a ceremony yesterday. Danny has served for 34 years at KOAM. During that time, he oversaw the launch of our Fox 14 right here, spearheaded numerous telethons, including one that helped launch construction of the Ronald McDonald House. The KAB Hall of Fame Award is the highest honor bestowed upon an individual by the Kansas Association of Broadcasters. Big congratulations to you, sir, Mr. Thomas. Well, researchers in Europe have identified a link between risky driving and other behaviors, like things like eating junk food, drinking alcohol, or consuming energy drinks even. They examined police and insurance records as well as blood tests of study participants and found people who are reckless in traffic may also be biologically inclined to take chances in other areas of life. A landmark drug trial started today in a federal courtroom in Cleveland. It pits 2 Ohio counties against 4 national pharmacy chains in a legal reckoning over the opioid crisis. Reporter Naomi Ruckham has more on the trial from New York.
Pharmacies doled out a never-ending parade of prescription painkillers in Lake and Trumbull counties in northeast Ohio between 2012 and 2016, enough for 400 pills for every person who lived in Trumbull County. Attorneys for the counties say the national pharmacy chains that dispensed many of those prescriptions, CVS, Walgreens, Giant Eagle, and Walmart, should be held responsible for the costs of opioid addictions. Another chain, Rite Aid, reached a settlement with the counties. Opening arguments began Monday in a jury trial, the first time pharmacy companies have gone to trial for their potential role in the opioid crisis. Another federal lawsuit in Ohio against the nation's 3 largest drug distribution companies was settled for $260 million just before it went to trial in 2019.
This settlement helps us address the mitigation of the terrible damage that's been caused.
Fawn Goodell is the director of Ohio Start, a program that works with families struggling with substance abuse.
How bad really is it in Ohio from your eyes?
Currently this year, the last statistics that I had heard, we are on pace to have more overdoses this year than we did in 2017, which is when we think of the height of the opioid epidemic.
If the counties win in court, any judgment could be used to tackle the crisis.
We need to make sure that we're getting services to families and kids any way we can, and sometimes that comes through money and accountability.
The trial is expected to last 6 or 7 weeks.
A lawyer representing the Ohio County said in his opening statement that oversight failures by the pharmacy chains helped fuel the opioid crisis. A bit later, a volcano 2 weeks into erupting, showing no signs of letting up.
A volcanic eruption gains strength on Spain's La Palma Island. I'm Jackie Ibanez in New York. Those details straight ahead.
You say espresso?
Yes, I do.
We kept things pretty quiet as we got this new work week and school week underway. Plenty of open blue skies once we got past some morning cloud cover, mainly on the Kansas and Oklahoma side. Then this was how we looked throughout the course of the evening so far. Clear skies up top from our live shot at Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. And again, that's how everyone's looking late on this Monday night. As far as temperatures go, quite an interesting tale. After we hit the upper 70s and a few spots near 80 yesterday, we actually tanked into the lower to middle 50s, cold enough that with the dew points matching up, we actually had a couple of patchy areas of fog and even mist before it burned off later on this morning. Then we wasted no time, bouncing back into the upper 70s once again. We're going to trend a little bit cooler for the next few days, though, because of some possible rain chances on the way in. But nothing on the way in right now. We're still dealing with clear skies up top, 61 in Joplin with a calm breeze. This time around, though, that dew point's at 54, so the humidity's at 78%. I don't see these numbers getting too close like they did this morning, so I'm not too concerned, thankfully, about any patchy areas of mist or fog as we go deeper into the night. Mid to upper 50s are becoming more prevalent across the area, but some of us are trying to hold on to some lower 60s. But you saw that latest update there. For example, Columbus just dropped down to 59. We'll all drop back into the lower to middle 50s once again, but a light breeze out of the northeast will keep enough dry air in place to hold back any concerns for patchy mist or fog. At the surface, I don't have a lot to show you here. Maybe a weak area of high pressure that's trying to keep us quiet as we go throughout the course of the night, right along the Kansas-Oklahoma border. But upstairs, right as we said goodbye to this upper low that gave us the rain chances on Friday and Saturday, there's this new upper low getting its act together just outside of Memphis. That's what's coming into play over the next few days. Again, though, it doesn't really do much for us tonight. Maybe trying to send in a few clouds around Stockton Lake by sunrise, but you see how we all start quiet, but we all start chilly, with overnight lows dropping back near 53. As we go into the afternoon, though, that's when I expect more partly sunny skies to work on in and just enough moisture for maybe a shower or two to start percolating in as we head toward the late afternoon. But you can see on the future track how it's mainly confined to a few spots, while the vast majority of us will still be dry for tomorrow. But 53 in the morning, 72 by noon. I see us going back to 75 for the afternoon tomorrow. We'll get a break in the action, the little action that we'll see tomorrow, with quiet skies Tuesday night going into Wednesday. Then more moisture as that wave edges closer, brings in scattered storms and highs around 74 for Wednesday. And speaking of the rain, doesn't really amount to much. Anything on the Missouri side should be anywhere from 1/10 to maybe 1/4 of an inch on the average at most. Then we're going to say goodbye to this upper level wave. We'll dry out, have highs close to 80 again on Thursday. But look at this upper ridge building in. That's certainly going to heat us up for the coming weekend before we see our next system out west, eager to bring in a better shot for rain and thunderstorms by Sunday and Monday as we go into next week. 75 tomorrow, 74 on Wednesday with overnight lows this time around, though, in the upper 50s. 78 for Thursday, Jordan. Then we have to push back near 88 on Friday and possibly near 90 on Saturday.
Still, though, no complaints.
No, the next few days, we're looking pretty good.
Nick Kelly, thank you. All right, coming up in sports, going to hear from the Frontenac Raiders on accomplishing a big milestone last week. Also, the 16-5 McDonald County Mustangs hosting the Webb City Cards. Danny Terzer has it all next.
From worst to
Fox.
The Webb City Cardinals traveled to McDonald County today for a non-conference matchup. McDonald County is 16-5 on the year. The Mustangs jump out to an early lead. J.C. Franken almost gets it out, but it's a double off the back wall. And that drives in Carly Cooper. Then in the third, Madeline McCall doubles up the third baseline. 2-run score, and McDonald County takes a 3-0 lead. Mustangs keep their foot on the gas. With runners on, Mariana Salas crushes this one to center. That extends the lead to 7. What a day for McDonald County, ending this game after just 4 innings, a dominant 15-0 victory over Webb City. The Frontenac Raiders improved to a 4-1 record after topping Burlington 42-6 on Friday. It was a night of celebration for the program. The Frontenac Raiders reached a special milestone in last week's win over Burlington.
I thought the crowd was great. The energy from the kids they were excited. The kids handled it well. They focused on the game plan and they executed it pretty well.
In their 100th season, the Raiders record their 700th win.
After the game, we got this banner that says 700th win, and it's going to be on our stadium now every time that we play, and it's just going to be cool to look back and see that and remember what we did.
To be able to do it at home is a cool thing. To be able to do it this same night, we honored the 100-year reunion, had all the alumni come back. It almost worked out perfect.
I was very thankful and honored to be a part of that, and all the old football players coming out and watching us. It was really cool feeling.
The Frontenac football program now has the second most wins all time in the state of Kansas.
It shows the school's had tremendous coaches, tremendous players for decades on decades, and when everybody comes out on a Friday night, it's a special night.
There's a lot of pride that comes with wearing a Frontenac jersey.
This school has done great things in the past, some Olympic runners and some really great state championship titles. And every time I put it on, I just feel honored to be able to be a part of that, something bigger than myself.
This accomplishment is a step in the right direction towards the Raiders' larger goal.
The goal is to get the ring, but along the way, getting a 700th win, it's really cool for our program.
Hopefully the kids saw how important it is, and they can kind of lead us into the next 100 wins and get to 800 here soon.
Frontenac's next assignment takes them on the road against Anderson County on Friday. The Kansas City Chiefs picked up a much-needed win on the road against the Eagles on Sunday. Andy Reid made NFL history, recording his 100th win with multiple franchises. The game was an offensive shootout, with the Chiefs coming out on top 42-30. Patrick Mahomes threw for 278 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mahomes connected with Tyreek Hill on 3 of those, tying Hill for 4th place in total receiving touchdowns in Chiefs history. Coming home with a win in whatever fashion was the most important task, and the Chiefs got that done.
We want to win football games. Tyreek, obviously, we want to get him involved as much as possible. But if we need to use him to get someone else open, he's willing to do that. Today, Travis didn't have this big game that he always has. But if you would have saw him on the sideline, you just saw the leader that he was. He's getting everybody going every single time, not letting the energy go down. And I think that shows the type of guys that we have on this team. Is obviously everybody wants to have big games every single game, but at the end of the day, it's about winning. Winning, and I think we have guys that understand that.
Back with more news after this.
Red-hot lava continues to spew from a volcano on an island in Spain. The country's prime minister vowing to rebuild even after the eruption is gaining strength. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more.
2 weeks after first erupting, a volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma is raising new concerns. Authorities report the volcano is erupting more aggressively and continuing to show intense activity, blowing open 2 more fissures, or narrow cracks, about 50 feet apart. Those new fissures are sending more red-hot lava toward the Atlantic Ocean, alongside an earlier lava flow that reached the sea last week.
Two new mouths of the volcano appeared, separated by about 15 meters between them, located below the main cone. They're emitting lava in an effusive way and advancing through by favorable topography.
Since the volcano first erupted, more than 1,000 homes have been destroyed and thousands of residents forced to evacuate. The volcano is also sending smoke, steam, and toxic gases into the air, forcing stay-at-home orders to be put into effect. Over the weekend, some of those orders were lifted, but officials urged people to limit their time outdoors. On Sunday, Spain's prime minister vowed to rebuild the island and added that it's safe for tourists to visit, even as the volcano shows no signs of slowing down.
It continues to release lava, and therefore its consequences are obvious, both from the point of view of material losses, but also from the point of view of the health of La Palma residents.
Spanish officials say the evacuation of 6,000 people last month helped prevent any deaths. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Next, a look at the entertainment coming your way this week on Fox. One-of-a-kind singing competitions, brand new dramas, and returning series, all with new episodes on Fox TV this week. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
It's futuristic fun on a final round of alter ego auditions. Here's what's hot on Fox.
Harry's been kidnapped.
First, Monday kicks off with the action of 911, Athena racing to save a family member, and the 118 still facing the citywide blackout.
America needs a win. She really does.
Then the Big Leap dancers are in the spotlight, and the group goes on a field trip to watch a performance of Swan Lake.
I can't let go.
Tuesday on The Resident, an accident leads a familiar patient to the Chastain Hospital ER.
I will never be for sale.
Then the drama continues with more family secrets unraveling and confrontations unfolding on Our Kind of People. Make some noise! Wednesday, break out your best guesses as the Masked Singers Group A returns to the stage and a wild card joins the game.
With his same old safe.
Then 5 more contestants and their digital avatars perform on the final audition round of Alter Ego.
It's a battle in the best division in football.
The week rounds out with Fox Sports. First, Thursday Night Football presented by Bud Light Platinum has the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Then it's the matchups of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. And find all new Animation Domination episodes Sunday, all right here on Fox. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of the International Balloon Festival in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.